On today's episode of Wrong Side, Joey gets a new job. We catch up on what we have been up to in life outside of football, take a look at the Bears and the Cowboys as we are a 3-2 podcast, and dive into why the Bills and Bengals should be hitting the panic button. A great week of college football, a ton of upsets, and a great look at the best slate of the year coming in next week. MLB Playoffs with all series tied 1-1 at time of recording, of course. Clutch moment of the week sponsored by Shore Metals and Outside the Line. In a world full of champions, we find ourselves on the wrong side.
Welcome back. Happy Wrong Side Wednesday. Today is October 9th, 2024, and we're back in action. A lot of great topics to talk about, a lot of sports going on. October, we're in the mix of college football, NFL, MLB playoffs. We're in now a stretch, I think, till the day before Thanksgiving, I think it is, that we have 55 straight days of football. So going to be a
Hell
great
yeah.
stretch now. Looking forward to that. Before we dive in, though, Joey mentioned it. New job, new opportunities. What's been going on? What's the update? We talked about it a few weeks back, kind of like how that transition's going, interviewing for jobs. When to leave your job, we had that conversation too. What's it been like the last couple weeks?
Yeah, it's been crazy. Really good timing with the when to leave your job conversation. I don't think we've made it any secret that I haven't always been the most secure or settled in at my job. Don't love the work from home setup. The work is kind of difficult. I love the company, though. I work at CDW. They're headquartered in the Chicago area. They're a massive IT company, and I am headed to a new position in the same company. So the process went really quickly. I had the offer within 2 weeks of the interview, which was amazing. I had a really good connection with my manager just via kind of a coffee chat the week before the interview. So it just all kind of worked out. I had an awkward encounter with my manager that I talked about a couple weeks ago, and he basically was like, I didn't know you were applying for your job. But overall, he's been really supportive. I just got the offer on Wednesday, which unfortunately is the same day CDW announced more layoffs. So that wasn't great.
Oh,
It was
no.
yeah. So third time that's happened in 2 years. That email came in at 5 a.m. that day. I saw it when I woke up a little later. And then my job offer came in at around like 10 a.m. that day. So at the moment, I'm balancing backfilling for people who got laid off, unfortunately, learning about my new job, which I have some transition meetings set up throughout this week, and also just trying to close all my stuff down from my job my old role as project manager. So safe to say I've been pretty busy at work, which hasn't been great, but I will say I'm very excited about the new role. It's going to be in person. I'll be supporting LG and promoting their stuff within CDW to CDW sales. So a lot more handshaking, in person, planning events and stuff, but probably won't get started for another month or so. I'm not looking forward to the transition, but things are good. I'm very excited to ink is dry on the paper and get started for basically a whole new lifestyle going from work from home to more hybrid setup.
Yeah, definitely. So this new job, you say like more hybrid. Is it kind of like more set days in person? Are you actually at like a client site versus the actual CDW office? Like, I don't know, like do you do that? Is there, like, you made the joke, like handshaking, the stuff like that. Like, is there more like front facing stuff with the client, or more so just the team goes in more to the office?
Both, I think. So LG is also headquartered in the Chicago area, so I know for a fact that I'll be with them quite frequently. They're out in the suburbs, so I may be buying a car sooner than I would have liked to. So we'll have to take a look at that. But
Wow.
yeah, definitely the team is going to be in the office more. So what the role is basically LG needs CDW to sell their stuff. So they have me and a group
Sure.
of people promoting their stuff to CDW sales. So it's not necessarily that I'm out on the street selling LG equipment. I am internally selling it to sales partners, but that means like planning events, scheduling sales incentives, stuff like that. So I think I'll be bouncing around quite a bit. Obviously, still getting started and everything, but seems a lot more creative, a lot more client facing, and just people facing in general.
Is it more so what you're going to be doing, like third party sense, where in a sense of like you're going to sell LG to Costco and to Walmart and to different buildings? Is it more so that or something like different?
No, so it's selling to like CDW salespeople will sell them to companies. I will help CDW
Okay.
salespeople design design the solution.
Oh,
So I'm a resource for the salespeople, as well as one of the goals is promoting, like growing their sales at CDW. So I'm only dedicated to the one brand, which I like so far. We'll see how they are as people to work with. But so far, very excited about it. And I'll be supporting them and basically like selling their stuff internally. It's not a sales job. It's not a commission based job, which I'm happy about too. Full
yeah,
time
definitely.
salary, pretty much the exact same pay as what I'm currently doing. So didn't jump for more money, jumped for really just a new opportunity. Like I've kind of talked about before, project management is not in my major. It's given me a lot of really good leadership and just business skills experience, but it was kind of a
Sure.
difficult job to get started in, implementing a lot of technologies I don't necessarily fully understand. Hoping that I can lean on a little more of my social skills, people skills, kind of team building skills in the new job.
Yeah, 100%. That's way better. I feel like, especially because like we've had conversations now over the last few months, just like, it's tough to kind of be at this age working at your desk next to your bed the whole time. You sometimes got to move to the kitchen because you don't want to be next to your bed and that kind of lifestyle. So I think it will be good. And like getting out there, like talking more, learning about stuff, like kind of just focusing on one product or one line of products versus like learning about five different projects you got going on and X school district or this place or this
Yeah.
company, and just like doing set work without having to like really have to learn 5,000 different companies and how individual groups work. You're going to have a set client, you're going to have a set third party team, you're going to have a set sales team, and like do the right steps to work all together.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, learning a little bit different side of the business that I didn't currently work for. Engage with salespeople all the time and I enjoy doing it. But like you said, yeah, I've been running around like a chicken with my head cut off trying to get 5 projects. I have like 75 open projects right now. That's not a joke. Um, Trying to figure all that out and keep all those straight versus kind of learning more about the business and other things like that, stuff I'm more interested in. So hoping it is a positive change.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it sounds like you kind of seem more not like not to say you didn't like your last job, but more so just like excited to like kind of get back in the mix. It seems like a little more.
Yeah, I think especially over the summer, which summers are never easy. I'm coming up on about 2 years in my current role. I just haven't necessarily felt settled. Things haven't felt the best.
Mm.
And I like the job. It's a lot of good leadership experience, but like we've talked about, the work from home, I'm just excited for something new. There's been a lot going on,
Yeah, sure.
a lot going on in life. So switching up to something new, something that I think leans more into my strengths and what I'm currently doing, hard not to feel excited. So we'll see how the transition goes. At the moment, I'm currently slated to start at the beginning of November. So it's going to be a tough month of transitions, like I talked about
Sure.
with backfilling people that got laid off, learning about the new job. So I think it'll be a tough month or so. But once we get transitioned, I am very, very excited.
On the bright side, I would assume you don't have to do like a lot of like onboarding training because you've already worked there, so you've already done the CDW onboarding most of the part, like the basic training. I would assume.
Most of that, not only that, my current role, they're rolling out like a brand new system. Like it's going to completely change like how they do their jobs. There's like 2 day, like 2 full days blocked out for training. Everybody's dreading it. And I think I get out of it, which is also huge.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
awesome. That's a
Hmm.
great start. Yeah. And kind of like a good, I would say, kind of a good spot to like maybe jump in November, like middle of Q4, like nothing too crazy. And kind of the year's wrapping up. You kind of get some time to kind of settle your feet in. People go on vacations, people with families go on vacations. So it's not like you're going to be
Yep.
super busy, I feel like. So that'll be a really good start and probably help you out a lot.
Hopefully, yeah. My manager is super cool. The team is super young, so I'm hoping to kind of get more involved in the social scene. Also, going out with people after work, making new friends. I haven't made new friends since I moved to the city.
Yeah, there you go.
A couple people have moved downtown since then, and plan on moving over the next couple months. But I mean, I'm excited. It's going to be a complete new lifestyle change, and I think it's going to be for the better in a lot of ways. But back to the
Awesome.
focus at hand. Back to the focus at hand. We are a 3-2 podcast. I'll let you go
3 and 2
first. Prime
podcast.
time, Cowboys, game winner. I was asleep, unfortunately, watching the Penguin, but take us through the game, Michael.
Yeah, so all afternoon after the morning slate, I started joking with everybody in the group chat, basically saying like, "Oh, did you guys hear? Games canceled. Games canceled." I was not excited for the game. Felt like it was just the vibes were just bad all week. Last week it was a bad, we talked about it last week, how we were both 2-2 and we're the opposite ends of 2-2. You're a hurt team 2-2. You barely escaped the Meadowlands versus a up and coming rookie who's playing well, getting his feet under him, talked about that. And as the week went on, it got worse. DeMarcus Lawrence officially out 48 weeks. Brandon Cooks, he landed on the IR with a knee infection out of nowhere. Had to go back to the practice squad. Our rookie corner that's been hurt, he was hurt again. So I had to go back to some guys that played last week. The vibes were not good. And then 5:20 my time came around, and then there was thunder and lightning. So now we're waiting, and now it's 30-minute delay and another 30-minute delay. Finally kicked off around 6:45 my time, 9:45 Eastern. I mean, felt bad for the East Coasters that were going to watch this game, especially Cowboys
Yeah, it was
Steelers.
tough.
These are two storied franchises that have played each other a bunch of times. I mean, my dad said when he was growing up, like, these were the Titans. It was the Steelers. It was the Cowboys. Like, when he grew up, this is the Cowboys he grew up with, playing the Steelers in the Super Bowl, those kind of games. And I was nervous. I had not a lot of hope. And all week, Cowboys were being picked against. Every sports show was picking the Steelers. Everybody was saying, yeah, Dak needs to be Superman, because Dak's not Superman enough. He's been most Superman most of his career because they don't have certain
Yeah.
parts. So
Mm-hmm.
just kind of something like that, where it was like, oh man, like this could be, this is going to be tough. So it wasn't really in the mood. We get the ball. We win the toss and want the ball, which I don't understand why they do that.
Scary
They
decision.
come out and they go up 3-0. They get into anywhere past the 50, I call it. Anywhere past the 50 is good range for Aubrey. Another game. I saw a stat. He's 7th straight game with 50-yard kick. So kind of crazy stat. Like,
Absurd.
just like kickers are getting so much better. But these were my takeaways for the game, top to bottom. So I've been staying on the topic of it's Groundhog Day, but this time it's Groundhog Day in Pittsburgh for the Cowboys, actually. 2016 was the last time we arrived there for a game. We won. It was Zeke and Dak's rookie year. Zeke with a huge run up the middle to win it with 20 seconds left. It was an incredible game. Big Ben vintage versus a rookie Dak. I mean, that was a year when I've mentioned before, I'm not like, oh, this is the year we're going to the Super Bowl kind of Cowboy fan. But that game that year was one game where I visually, like, I can actually remember telling my dad, I think they can do it. Like, I remember saying, like,
Yeah.
this is because, like, it was like playing Big Ben. You're on the road, like Steelers, Cowboys, and Dak was perfect that game, and Zeke was perfect that game. And I remember saying, like, and obviously they get the 1 seed, they get bounced in the divisional round by Rodgers by the end kick. Anyways, we all know how that one ends. But this was the good, the bad, the ugly, and the winner for Dak Prescott. The true Dak Prescott experience, roller coaster in my mind. Truly remarkable. I give Dak a lot of credit certain times for his play, the way he does it, but I really believe that when the going gets tough, he truly does get tougher. This kid's been through this guy's been through a lot of family stuff, a lot of personal stuff in his life. He's the Dallas Cowboys quarterback. You're always gonna have a target on your head. I think if he was wearing any other helmet, he's talked about maybe in the same sense of like a Herbert kind of style, where Herbert's great, but he doesn't have the weapons. He's just in LA. Somebody get Herbert some help. I think Dak's been so good, and I believe it. Dak's a top 8 to 10 quarterback in the league. I think you're crazy and a Cowboys hater if you cannot just truly say that. I'm not saying he's top 5. I'm not saying he's better than anybody. He's top 8 to 12, 8 to 10. So, but he had a bad pick. I think there was a miscommunication. He had a fumble because TJ always gets somehow through rookie O-line and any O-line. He had a second pick that was so unnecessary. That was just so bad. Like, they were running well for once. They actually ran the ball really well last night. And he threw another pick. So now he's 3 turnovers. Fields gets the ball back. They drive down the field. They score a nice touchdown to Freiermuth, flip play. Now it's 17-13. Dak's got to get the ball back. They got 4 minutes left. And it was a surgical drive. It was running was well. They ran the ball. I saw it today. They had 8 plays to get to. It was like a 14-15 play drive to win it, and 8 plays to get to the 50. 7 were runs. They got to the 50.
Wow.
Just like run. The running was well. I think Rico Dowdle had over 100 all total yards, which was huge. First time a Cowboys running back has had 75 rushing yards since week 3 of last season. Another crazy stat to see. But Dak, they go down and they get a 1st and goal from the 4 with Lupke, number 40, our fullback. Dak scrambles out on 1st and goal. He gets to the half-yard line. We're half-yard line, 2nd and goal. Like, you just got to push it in now at this point. And they hand the ball off. They give the ball up to Rico. He jumps in, a Palomalu-style tackle. Ball comes out. Dak with arguably, I would say a more important play than the touchdown. Dak jumps on the ball. Cam
For
Newton, if you're
sure.
watching, that's how it's done.
Yep.
Um, Jumps on the ball, saves the ball. Now it's third and goal from the 4 again. Incomplete pass. Tolbert gets hit in the nuts. Like, they have to call a timeout, get him
Did
off the
you
field
see
for a
the
second.
quote? The
Yeah,
quote from
by
the
the lineman. Oh,
I did
sorry,
not get
sorry.
it. He was like, he sprained his nuts. Like, sorry, he sprained his nuts. It was the craziest quote I've ever seen. I didn't see what actually happened, so I'm glad you're explaining it
It was
now. But
just
I
kind
was
of
like,
like he got kind
what
of
could have
tangled
possibly
up and like
happened?
fell weird, got tangled up, awful play, just like bad play. So now it's fourth and goal from the 4. And I'm like, oh my God, like we've made it this far. Like, and bear in mind, we've had so many mess ups in this game. We should be up 3 touchdowns. Like we were killing them. And Dak steps back. No CD, not to Ferguson, not to Dowdle, not to Zeke. It was to Jalen Tolbert, who has the
Yeah.
game-winning catch, who has solidified himself as a wide receiver 3 for this team. He's the third-year player for the Cowboys. He's been really under the radar, really hasn't stepped up. He's been much better. They talked about it all night after the broadcast. Basically, he was the one who was working out with Dak during the offseason when CD was holding out. Before they got to camp, they were working out together. Tolbert, game-winning catch. They score. Steelers try to get the ball moving. One of those lateral plays, they lose. Incredible game. Ugly game, but great win. A couple takeaways I had. Run D, so much more improved. I understand the Steelers offense isn't super dynamic, but it didn't matter who was at running back. I felt like after 3 weeks, they were going to get 100 yards. And
Yeah.
the last 2 weeks, the first 3 weeks, they were giving up 160 yards on the ground, average through 3 weeks. The last 2 weeks, 59 on the ground. Singletary and Najee / their backup, who I don't even remember who it was because Warren wasn't playing.
Yeah.
So run D, much better. Tolbert, like I mentioned, Dowdle, both guys stepping up. Like you need guys like that to step up. Like it's tough. Everyone knows CD wants the ball 30 times, but CD's going to get covered. They had Minka, they had Joey Porter. They have a good defense. So kind of
Yeah.
cool to see. But CD might have not lit up the stat sheet. Money-making play, I call it. He had a huge block on a Ferguson catch in the first half. Really appreciated that. And then I wished for it. I got it. Chicago Fields. We got Chicago Fields during the game. And the only negative, though, I had of the game was Marshawn Nealon. He gets hurt on the 4th play of the game. He was Micah's backup. Has to get some meniscus
Damn.
surgery, 4 to 6 weeks now. He's out, so that's another guy out. Tyler Guyton, our rookie tackle, he got hurt, but he's okay. Should be ready to go next week. We have Detroit coming up and then the bye week. But Cowboys are 3-2. They look like they kind of have some life. It looks like they have some fight. They're a young team that seemed to really not want to give up. I was kind of shocked to see it, but really happy with last night. Detroit's going to be a much, much tougher task, but Dak showed up when it mattered, and for $60 million, I was really happy.
Yeah. I if if the Cowboys beat the Lions, I think the season's back on. I don't know why I can't get my arms around it, but the Cowboys, I said like they have a similar roster, but for some reason they suck now. The fact that they can pull out an ugly win should be a huge, huge, huge good sign for them. But to me, it just really again looks like a lot of the same. Like they're just not as consistent as they were. Like you talked about a surgical drive, like a 4-minute drive is no easy thing to pull off. To not only get all the
Yeah.
way down there, they ran out of timeouts. Like to be able to convert it on a 4th and goal to win the game and not leave any time on the clock is very, very impressive. But I think it's a very positive sign that they can win games like that, but I just still don't get like why they haven't been the downfield like crazy team that we've seen in the past. I know
Yeah,
like some of their weapons have been depleted, so we'll see
sure.
what happens with the Lions, but they're ugly. And so far they're winning. Just 3-2, it's still a lot of football to be played, but we'll see what happens. Maybe it's a new version of the Cowboys that can actually gut it out a little bit.
They mentioned during the broadcast, it's funny you say that about the game and how it ended, but basically the way it kind of happened was they were watching a couple runs from Dowdle, and Chris Collinsworth was like, it looks like they're kind of going back to old style Cowboys, like 2017, 2020 Cowboys. They weren't trying to run it up the middle. They were kind of now figuring out that if you run a little to side or they were like bottom 3 in motion, I think, through 4 weeks on the line, and they were 10th in the NFL in week 5. So like
That's important. Yeah.
much more improved. It looked like Lupke, our fullback, and Ferguson and Schoonmaker, they were kind of blocking well, a lot more with the tight ends, blocking, giving holes, finding different ways to run. You're not going to run it behind rookies that are playing TJ Watt. It's not going to happen. Find different ways. So that was good to see. But yeah, I didn't even mention it. Along with the turnovers, we had a field goal block. Like so many things went wrong. The Cowboys don't win that game. I know they don't win that game.
Yeah.
And they did. They won. And Dak played well. And Dak did not play well. He struggled, but he showed up when it mattered. And like you got to win those games. That's why you pay him all that money. And I'm happy with Dak. I think he deserved his slander. I saw he got some today. I think it was well deserved. He had some bad passes, but losing a game like that and getting slandered is one thing. Winning the game, Acho said it best. He erased it. It was called an eraser game. You erase
Yeah.
every bad thing with a game finishing play. So I really like that. Detroit is a massive test. If they can somehow, like you said, if they can somehow beat Detroit, the season's back on, and not only that, they go to the bye, get some guys healthy, try to heal up because they got San Francisco the next week, like 4-2. The NFC's wide open. I know we're
Yep.
going to get to the Bears next. So NFC's wide open. It's anybody's conference. The Niners are 2-3, Vikings are 5-0, but like everybody's 2-2, everybody's 2-3. Wide open. I think it's the season is not dead yet. I think the next couple weeks determine that, but the bye week's coming at a perfect time in 2 weeks.
Yeah, 100%. Get some guys
So
healthy, get it
excited for
rolling.
that.
Maybe they're a top team in the league.
Definitely shifting gears to the Windy City. Bears 3-2, the other side of the 3-2 podcast in attendance, 2-0 now in attendance in the Caleb Williams era. Joey was there. What were the vibes like? I know you didn't have much. I know you mentioned it was just the Panthers, but it was still a win. Every win is important as a rookie. I just talked about how big that win was. Dak's
Yes.
rookie year. Every win's important. It's the NFL. It's a tough league.
Caleb Williams has 300 passing yards for either his second or third time in a Bears uniform. He has only played 5 games. He has tied the amount of times that Justin Fields had over 300 passing yards throughout 3 seasons. So things are going well in Chicago. I left probably the most relaxed I've ever felt in a very, very long time on a Sunday, on a football Sunday. Even last week with the Rams, it was still anxiety inducing to the end. Euphoric when we won it, but still nerve wracking nonetheless. There were a lot of really good signs. Caleb Williams hooks up with DJ Moore for 2 touchdowns, 2 of the longer passes that we've seen from Caleb Williams against his former team. DJ Moore has been getting a lot of criticism for not blocking, bad body language, all that stuff, which I'd say I'm pretty disappointed about, given the fact that he's endured so much in Chicago already. You think you finally have the answer, just need to hold on a little bit more until Caleb sees some promise. And you'll be eating, but DJ Moore has been full of attitude this year, but he was juiced up to get those touchdowns. There was a great post going away from us and then a great kind of crosser play. The first time I've seen anyone open downfield in the Shane Waldron era. So that was great to see. DeAndre Swift continues to impress. Like you said, instead of just running up the middle behind a pretty weak interior offensive line, they got some counters going. They got some off tackles. They got some cutback lanes going. And DeAndre Swift is great in space. I am now a proud fantasy owner of DeAndre Swift, but throughout the first
He
couple
was on
weeks,
my
I said,
bench.
oh, he's great, but they misused him heavily in the first couple weeks. Like he is
Definitely.
not
You said it.
a
You've been
Derrick
saying it for
Henry.
weeks.
Yeah, so to see him get involved in the screen game, he was our leading receiver last week, and I know he had a couple catches this week. Things were good. I know we got some passing reps in at the end of the game, kept the starters in, which I was happy to see. Any rep for a rookie is an important rep. The fight at the end of the game, I'm not sure if you saw this, but there was a pretty big
Yes, I
brawl.
did. I kind of was. So I was watching like Sunday Ticket. So I had 4 games on. Like the
Uh-huh.
4 screen quad box, and I kind of like was about to move like that TV off. Like I was gonna start changing to the afternoon games, and
Oh
I go
yeah,
to
we were
like
about to leave.
I go I go to like deselect it because it wasn't like it was a blowout. So I go to like
Yep.
deselect it, see the fight going on. I was like, hold on. So I switch on to that volume, and I mean it was Malice at the Palace. I mean, my God.
It was intense, and the game like didn't warrant that. Like I know it was the end of the game. Who knows what the Bears are saying?
Right.
But couple guys were face to face, and I don't even know who it was. It was on a PAT after maybe it was the touchdown,
Yeah.
but punches a Bears guy in the face. Another Bears guy comes and decks this guy. He punches him in the face, which again, it's never a good idea to punch someone who's wearing a helmet. And it's just bodies flying. Like it's not like a little shoving match that you see like 9 times out of 10 when there's a scuffle on the field. It was like full on bodies flying. So that was pretty funny. We gave it a couple more minutes. And then, oh my God, so tone deaf. I have it on my list every single week. Referees are the absolute worst.
Always.
It was
If should we
oh,
change the topic to just referee of the week? We'll just change the name instead of tone deaf.
yeah,
We'll
it'd
just
be
call it
so
referee of
easy.
the
Like
week.
they're actually god awful. They took like a full 10 minutes to sort out what was going to happen after this fight. And it was the most cut and dry thing ever. Like honestly, I don't even know
Just
if they
toss the
needed to
guys
eject
and
the
move on.
Exactly. They tossed both the guys. The Panthers got an extra 15-yard penalty that I think was enforced on the kickoff, but it was like the most cut and dry answer to that situation ever, and it took them so long to come up with it. The stadium was booing. The Bears players were like getting people going but like after the fight happened. It was pretty entertaining. Not eventful, but in the best way. Like the whole team looked good. The defense looked good. No Andy Dalton revenge game last Sunday, and I walked out feeling very relaxed. So Caleb Williams continues to improve and impress, and I am very, very excited.
I'm gonna say you probably have said that sentence less than 5 times in your life. Like walked out, like relaxed, like not
Oh yeah.
upset, like didn't lose anybody important, didn't feel stressed. There wasn't like a like a Cowboys game where it's like last second, last kind of play kind of situation. Like
Oh
probably a handful of times you've said that in your life. So probably good to feel. I
yeah.
was gonna say one thing about this game. The Bears. My first takes on the Bears. Bears. Tough league. Panthers play hard sometimes. They did well and they beat him. They took him down. Caleb looked great. You called it. You said on like Wednesday, Thursday, I feel some deep passes coming. That's what happened. So that was huge. But kind of a mini tone deaf, I would say. Tone deaf by Dave Canales. Pretty wild statement. I don't know if you saw this in the post game, but I was on Twitter after the game and I saw this in his post game conversation. And they asked him, why did you decide to pull Andy when you did? Because Andy was a quarterback. Bryce came in. Bryce came
For the
in.
record, that was right when we left. I saw him with a really good completion down the field, but I did not see him play, unfortunately.
That was a great completion. I did see the highlight. It was a good completion. But in the post game, they asked Canales, "Hey, why did you decide to bring him in at that point? And what was the reasoning?" And he says, "I didn't want Andy to play more snaps behind a depleted and hurt O line." So then
Yikes.
everybody on Twitter was like, "So you're gonna put your number one overall pick that you benched in to make him struggle more?" Like it was
Yeah,
just
they're
like,
trying to
what are
kill
you
this
can't
kid.
say that. Like bad answer. Like what a bad answer. So that was kind of a weird thing. But other than that, DJ, huge game. Defense flying. The defense is so fun to watch. It's truly
Yeah.
remarkable. I mentioned it on last week's episode about the softball ejection, so I didn't get to play this past week, but I was at the softball game. I
Oh, you
texted you. I
didn't
was
play?
watching.
Uh-huh.
I watched the highlight. Yeah, the appeal was unsuccessful, 2 game suspension. But
Brutal.
I got caught on my phone watching a highlight reel, like 10 minutes of Bears Saints from the NFC Championship game, and
Yeah.
I texted you, but it was late, so you were already asleep. You texted me back in the morning, and that defense was insane. I kind of made a joke. I was like, I think I texted you. I was like, Lovie Smith should be on the Hall of Fame just for being a head coach of a Rex Grossman team because like that defense was so good. And I'm watching this defense now and I've grown my Bears knowledge as we've been podcasting and as the season's gone on, and I have
Mm-hmm.
more interest in the Bears. The defense is so fun; it's fun to watch. That's one thing where I don't think it's Carolina. That defense is good. I think it's very
Oh,
solid.
yeah.
And you don't have Rex Grossman. You have Caleb Williams, the number one overall pick, the stud, the kid from USC, the Heisman winner, and they can get rolling. I think the Vikings are good. I think the Packers are good. We're going to see a lot of things start to come into play once I come and visit because I think that's the Packers game that we're going to is the first divisional game, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So we'll
No,
see some stuff kind of shake out by then. But they're a fun team to watch, and they're fun, and people can hate on the Bears. I think they kind of are in the same sense of like yeah, they are Chicago. Yeah, that is a big market, but they're not a great
mm-hmm.
team. So they're kind of that
No.
small market dogfight mentality on the football field. Maybe not on the baseball field with the Cubs or the Bulls, because the Bulls still spend money, even if it's the wrong way. But Bears are fun. The defense is still great. I think it's super fun. Now they're going across the pond. They're going to play Jacksonville, which Trevor
It's a
Lawrence is
home
still
game for
great.
Jacksonville. It's a home game for Jacksonville.
Home game for Jacksonville. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm very happy about the Bears. I'm very happy about the Cowboys, 3-2. Much higher spirits, I would say, at this point
Yeah.
as we were last week.
My one final word on the Bears. I like where we're at. We're improving every week. Again, new offensive coordinator, like head coach, questionable head coach, new players, new rookies, like all that. Shane Waldron is improving, but I think it's like his overall scheme I don't love. We talked about motion and he has a little
Sure.
bit of jet motion in there, but none of that fancy motion you're seeing from like the Niners or the Dolphins where it's like a slot guy going out, an outside receiver going in and releasing on the run, like stuff like that. So I'm questioning him still, but you cannot deny that they've improved week in and week out on the offensive side of the ball. So I'm
Absolutely.
holding I'm holding it for now, but Shane Waldron, I got my eye on you. I've been watching the QB School on YouTube. He loves breaking down Caleb Williams tape, and he's
Is that
questioning the
Gruden?
offense too. No, it's not Gruden. Um, but he's
Oh,
questioning the offensive play calling as well and the design. So we'll see. We'll see.
okay. Yeah, I love watching tape. I love ball.
I love tape. I
My
love
my
ball.
love tape, love ball. Other than that, around the league, nothing too crazy. We mentioned kind of quickly that Arizona beat San Francisco. That was a huge win. Kind of hurt by Jake Moody getting hurt. He got hurt on a tackle. They couldn't really kick
Yeah.
field goals. They had their punter kick one from like 20. He made it, but other than that, they were going for everything on fourth. And other than that, the two games I wanted to quickly just briefly talk about: Bills Texans. I think the Bills should be embarrassed. Houston won 23-20. They were dominating the first half. Bills have not looked good for 2 weeks after
No.
basically dominating everyone through three. But the problem with the Bills was obviously I have my Josh Allen concerns this week, because Josh Allen was 9 for 30 passing for
That's
131 yards
criminal.
and a touchdown. Now, anybody can say it. Yeah, he didn't turn the ball over. What he's the best at in the NFL actually since 2020. He's the best at turning the ball over. He didn't turn the ball over once. He had 3 dropped interceptions that I saw happen on 3 different plays. So he might as well have had one. But he had one touchdown, which was a 49-yard touchdown to Keon Coleman, which Keon Coleman, great run down the sideline,
Yep.
kept his toes in, tightrope, perfect. But other than that touchdown, if you remove that touchdown, 8 for 29, 82 yards, no touchdown. Very concerning. He did have 4 for 54
Ridiculous.
rushing. If Dak Prescott went 9 for 30, the Cowboys lose 700-0. 700 to
Easily.
0 is the score. But that's not even the problem I had with it. The Bills are tied. There's 25. I think there's 40 seconds left or so.
Mhm.
Texans punt the ball away to inside the 5. I think it landed on the 1. They go pass, incomplete, incomplete, incomplete. Give the ball back to Houston with 20 seconds left. They punted from their end zone. They got the ball to like the 40, the 50. Houston ran 2 plays, had one timeout. I actually don't even think I think they had one timeout. Yeah, one timeout. They get down the ball. Kai Fairbairn, 50 plus yard kick, makes it 23-20. Texans win. The Bills gave the
Easy.
game away. They could have easily gone you run it once, run it twice, you're going to overtime, you have 50-50 shot of winning the game. Those are great odds compared to where you
They
were at.
might be scarred from overtime because
They
I
might
agree with
be.
you.
That's a good
I
point.
I couldn't understand it, and you got to be knowing in the back of your mind who their kicker is. Like I think that's probably just easy scouting. You know that they're a 50+ yard kicker and not
Yeah,
something
yeah.
more than that. So time is even more of the essence. I know McDermott kind of owned the mistake. He was like, "Yeah, it was kind of stupid," but maybe
Right.
the thought process there is go throw the ball, like get a first down, get out of bounds, like try and go down and win the game. But to go like like especially
I
like
think they had 2
third
timeouts
down,
too,
like
which sucked.
oh, yeah, that's
Like
kind of disgusting. So I don't know, like especially like once you get to like third and long, like you think you're not going to get it coming. I mean it's just pretty
just
tough
run the
to
ball.
double down
Yeah.
on that. Yeah, it's pretty tough to double down on that. So I I think the Bills are not in trouble. I think that that's a big concern, but there are a few of these Josh Allen games every single year, and they end up making it in there.
Right.
In their division, the Jets don't look as good as we think. Obviously, the Dolphins are pretty banged up with Tua not playing and everything, so
New
they
England
very well
stinks.
could still. Yeah, New England stinks. They very well could still sneak in and win that division. I know. For the record, the Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs halftime or
Yeah.
midfield
Post
like
game.
one yeah post game like one quick high five was like super awkward and weird. So I have always been
And
a little confused.
what was worse was he was like dapping at yo, bro, like everybody
Yeah,
else was happy,
so
good combo, and like yeah.
awkward. So I know there was like, oh, like we don't hate each other, we don't hate each other. Like that's the narrative that is like out in public, but like
Sure.
clearly like they needed to ship Stephon Diggs off for other reasons. And I don't know if it was for the better, especially with Khalil Shakir. I think he was hurt this week too. They don't have like a true number one, a true winner. It's good to spread the ball around. Like Josh Allen is still probably the best player on any field that he steps onto, but it's also great to have a killer on the outside for the most part, at least. I know he had
Definitely.
his moments in Buffalo. So curious how that hindsight feels for trading Stephon Diggs. He looked pretty serviceable in Houston. I know they're full of studs. So I don't know where the Bills go from here. I don't think Sean McDermott is the answer. I think Josh Allen will be fine and they'll probably still sneak into the playoffs where it's anyone's ball game. But that ending there is like why they end up in the positions that they do every year. They're one of
Right.
the best laughing stocks in the NFL.
Definitely. And like you said, like Diggs, like spreading the ball around, stuff like that. Like Nico Collins gets hurt in that first half. Like I'm not saying Stroud did play well in the second half. He kind of struggled in the second half, but Diggs might have to
Yeah.
step up now if Nico Collins is out. So something to monitor there. Another small game just to focus on. Bengals Ravens wanted to hit another, basically again, same thing, another awful coaching mistake. Joe Burrow, he had like 4 or 5 touchdowns. It was a great game. I saw Burrow has 12 touchdowns, 2 picks. He has over 100 passer rating, and they're 1-4.
Yeah.
Can't ask for much better than that from your quarterback. Defense has been bad. I know Hendrickson is banged up, but the problem with this game, again, bad coaching. They get to overtime. It's tied at 35. First drive of the overtime, Lamar fumbles. Bengals get it to it was the Baltimore 47, and they go run for no gain, run for 3 yards, run for no gain. So it's a 53-yard kick, and they miss it. They don't set their kicker up for success. They don't even line it up. Nothing was perfect. They were going in there
Yeah.
settling for, let's just get 3. Let's not try to air out. I mean, Jamar Chase had like 180 yards or something. He had like
Two
50
two
fantasy
touchdowns.
points.
Yeah.
So like there was that. And then since he misses the kick, Baltimore gets the ball back. Derrick Henry runs it all the way to the 1. Tucker comes in, they win it. Ravens win again. I mean, again, another awful coaching decision. Like, and what's crazy is like we talk about Aubrey, we talk about all these great kickers. Like kickers now messed up that game, but putting your kicker, you still got to put your kicker in the right spot. And so
Oh
like
yeah.
Zach Taylor, Sean McDermott, 2 awful, awful coaching blunders this week. That inexcusable in my opinion.
Yeah, horrible. I didn't realize Burrow has been that good. I have
So
been
good.
kind of happy to see the Bengals downfall just because Joe Burrow, he's always out. He hasn't proven anything probably since the Super Bowl. So was kind of in on his downfall in the media. So good to see he's still really good, but he can't win in spite of his defense. I guess in spite of his coaching. In theory, you should be
He
able
had
to outcoach a bad defense, possess the ball at the end of the game, like go down, do a 4-minute drive like the Cowboys did, especially if your
right,
quarterback's playing that
especially
well. But
Burrow.
yeah.
He had 392 passing yards, 5 touchdowns, 77% completion rating in that last game.
Wow.
He's
That's wild.
sixth in passing yards, first in touchdowns, tied for 36 with interceptions, 2, second in QBR. He's having an unbelievable season, and they're 1-4. It's so concerning because like you've paid. They didn't pay Jamar, right? They didn't pay Jamar.
No.
Didn't pay Jamar. T's gonna walk. They've paid him. Like very concerning. Like very concerning. And luckily, like I guess, like now the Steelers are 3-2, and the Ravens are 3-2, and or the Ravens 3-2 or 4-1.
Yeah, I think they're 3-2.
Yeah, so they're 3-2. The Browns obviously are 1-4. So like division's not over. Again, AFC is not as open as the NFC, but still fairly open. But definitely needs to be fixed moving forward. And Burrow said in the post game, he's like, "We're not a Super Bowl, we're not a championship level team." He's like, "We have been in my career, and we're not right now, and we have to figure that out." So something to monitor there. Shifting gears from NFL, college football takes this weekend by storm. Every time I think this season I've said it's a bad slate. It's been a great slate. I've been completely wrong. This weekend we're going to get to it, but just touching on this past week, Vandy over number 1 Bama, Arkansas over number 4 Tennessee, A&M number 25 A&M over Mizzou number 9, Washington over Michigan number 10. 4 huge upsets, 4 top 10 teams. Obviously, Ohio State beat them. Huge Iowa win. We don't really touch on that because we're going to look ahead for this future week. But stories to watch other than that, like Milroe, probably out of the Heisman in my opinion. Tennessee, awful loss. Mizzou, they were frauds from the beginning. A&M, they're rolling.
Sure.
Elko, after Notre Dame, has them rolling, and that was not a bad loss. Washington looked insane. Michigan is now basically starting a senior citizen at quarterback. Jack Tuttle, 25 years old, seventh year. He's 25 years old. He's older than us. Still playing quarterback. But my 2 stories to watch before we head into next week. Ashton Junty is going to win the Heisman, I think. He's going to win the Heisman. I think obviously Trav is still leading from Colorado, but if Junty, he's on the pace right now where if he gets 2,000 yards, if you get 2,000 yards and 30 touchdowns, like he has less than 100. Yeah. He has less than 100 carries this year, Junty, and he has over 1,000 yards.
He has more yards on less carries, and I think 1 less touchdown than Barry Sanders did his Heisman year at Oklahoma State.
The Boise State campaign has really moved on. And my other take for this upcoming or for the future is, I saw that IU's head coach from JMU, been a story of the whole season. He said he wins everywhere. Google me was in his presser to start the year.
I hate
that.
He
was in second grade the last time they were bowl eligible. They're 6-0 to start the year. IU will be undefeated heading into Columbus. What I think. They have Michigan 2 weeks before us, but I think IU is going to be undefeated heading into Columbus, and another huge game for the Buckeyes to look ahead to.
I mean, talk about a schedule coming up. We got number 3 on the road, Oregon this weekend. Nebraska after
We
that,
have
who's looking at
a
number
tough Nebraska team.
27-ish right now, could be ranked with a convincing win this week or next week or this week. I think maybe a bye week after that.
I
Not
think
right
it's
after that.
by then Nebraska, by Oregon, by Nebraska.
That's big. After Nebraska, Penn State on the road, currently number 4. After that, Indiana, who is currently ranked, and I think around the 17. I want to touch on Indiana. I hate them. I've never liked Indiana. They gave me bad vibes. I got into the Kelly School of Business. It's not that
So
sick.
did
Like,
I. So did I.
sounds good. Go Hoosiers. Your basketball team isn't even good anymore. For them to suddenly become this stud team, and I haven't really paid close attention to them, haven't watched them that much, but I know in the beginning
Same.
of the
I've
year they
kind
were
of
putting up
score
yeah,
box.
75 points on like D3 teams practically. I don't respect them yet. Maybe they will be like a 12-ish, 10-ish team by the time they come into Columbus, but we better beat the brakes off of them. There's no way this guy has suddenly turned this into a roster full of 5-star Alabama recruits. They're still Indiana until they prove me otherwise. I will actually blow a fucking gasket if we lose to them this year. But I can't respect them yet.
I know Matt Drozda. I don't know if he listens to this, but I know Matt Drozda is rooting for Indiana for the rest of the season over Ohio
Oh,
State.
100%. Oh yeah.
But looking ahead, we've made it to October 12th, the weekend of the year. People have been calling it. My mom was joking around that this was the third most, or like the first or second most popular wedding date of the calendar year, October 12th. I will not
Damn.
be I will not be attending any weddings. I will be studying hard this week after work so I can watch football all day, sit on the couch. But we got a slate to go through, and I mean, we can start from the top. Let's start where I think I didn't write it. I don't know if this is written down in order of game time, but I think it's pretty close. But first up, I have the Red River. It's at the Cotton Bowl. Number 1 UT takes on number 18 Oklahoma. Red River's been going on for over 100 years, but this is the SEC debut of the Red River. Both teams in the SEC now. What do you think? What are your takes on the game?
Texas, I'm excited to see them in action. Off last week, craziest week in maybe college football history just happened. I think they're going to come out and
Right.
show that they deserve that number 1 ranking. I was trying to argue with everyone on Saturday night that the Buckeyes deserve to jump up to number 1 because Texas was off. Didn't happen, but honestly, I'm not upset not being number 1. I don't know if Quinn's back or not. I don't think it necessarily matters, but Texas is 14-point favorites in that game on the road. Rivalry weeks get weird, but I think Texas comes out and continues to roll. They put everyone on notice why they are the number 1 team in the country and should be favored for the national championship. Oklahoma does have something to prove. A home rivalry game is a great place to do that. So look for them to get active early. I'm not going to rule out some trick plays there, some big maybe reverse passes down the field to get something going and get the crowd into it. But I think Texas is a juggernaut, possibly better than Ohio State. So I have no worries Texas takes care of business in the Red River.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw today that Quinn should be back to active. They're going to monitor it this week. It's Sark seemed confident in the Monday press conference I saw that they're going to show him. But if he can't go, it's going to be freshman versus freshman. They got a freshman QB in.
Yeah.
Obviously Texas has Arch. It's going to be a great game. I actually saw a video on Twitter right before we started recording of the Cotton Bowl when they have these games. I've known it before, but I've never kind of seen this kind of video. They do a very good job splitting the stadium. Like,
Yeah,
fan
very
base.
good job. Yep.
And I saw this video from last year's Red River, and it's like from the camera angle of behind as Texas runs out. And you hear the boos come in when they run onto the field. But then they get to about the 45, 50-yard line, and the cheers come in from the other side, which are like Texas fans.
Yeah.
Awesome video. If you guys haven't seen it, check that one out. Super cool. But yeah, I think UT, I know they're big favorites in this game. I still believe they win. But we'll see. It's rivalry week. Like, I mean, it is not rivalry week, but it is a rivalry game. So you never know in those games.
For sure. Next game up, Penn State, USC. Penn State -5.5. USC definitely has some concerns to call out. I don't think Miller Moss played last week, but we'll see where he's at. Penn State does a lot of things
What do you
right.
mean?
That was he? Maybe it was. I think there was something about Miller Moss. I could be making something up.
Oh, he played. I feel like he played. I feel like I saw him playing. I
Okay,
was
maybe
watching that game periodically. I wasn't watching it as tight.
Maybe I'm an idiot. This was from last week.
He was
No, he got
banged up 2 weeks
he was
ago. He
banged
was
up,
banged.
banged up
He
2
was
weeks
banged
ago.
up 2 weeks ago. Yeah, yeah.
Anyways, USC, we saw them lose to Michigan just a little bit ago. Penn State 5.5 point favorites on the road at USC. I think USC should be a good home environment to play in, but Penn State is going to play Big Ten football like they have to a pretty good level throughout the last many years. USC has shown trouble protecting Miller Moss in the past. Michigan really got after him in their game, so expect Penn State to do that as well. They are the team with most quarterback sacks in the last 3 years in college football. That's a fact for you. So Penn State's
Love
going to do
that.
that. They also have a couple returning running backs. So USC has shown some problems stopping the run. I know their defense has shown improvement from the last couple of years, but Penn State is no slouch. So I think Penn State on the road, if they are serious this year, which I still question if they are because they do the song and dance every year when they have 8 wins when they head to Columbus. We're going there this year, but this is an unranked USC team, but still a prove it game for Penn State.
Yeah, prove a game. My notes for this game was Penn State keeps answering the call, but we'll see it when we believe. We'll believe it when we see it, like you just said. USC needs to bounce back. Awful loss to Minnesota in Minnesota. I will say one funny thing I did see about this game was, when teams go to different stadiums and they're like traveling wherever you're going, Ohio State to Michigan, Ohio State to Indiana, they have those big trucks, like the semis with
Yeah.
all the gear in it. Usually when those trucks, so we play on Saturdays, teams leave Thursday night or Friday morning to go to their location where they're playing. But they have those trucks, and the Big Ten prior to this year is so small that those trucks would leave like Wednesday morning. They would be like,
Mhm.
okay, Ohio State's gear is on its way to Pennsylvania, because it's like a 3-4 hour drive. Like you're gonna get there,
Oh
like
yeah.
you get there, set it up, whatever. The funniest thing is all that gear I saw today, they left Penn State this afternoon. They have to drive all the way to LA. So they left on Monday instead of on Wednesday or Thursday. Kind of
Oh
crazy to see
man.
the new Big Ten, I'm calling that. So kind of funny to see Penn State, but I still think Penn State wins this game. I think Penn State's really good. We'll see Drew Aller, another tough situation, gritty defense with USC. So we'll see. I'm going to skip OSU Oregon. Let's do that one last because that's the biggest one
Okay.
for us. Next one, I have Ole Miss at LSU. Number 9 Ole Miss versus number 13 LSU. I call it the mid SEC off. Both teams with bad losses already this year. We'll see though. Ole Miss. I don't know what's the line on this game. Do you have the line for this one?
Ole Miss -3 on the road.
Oh, okay. On the road. I still think Ole Miss wins this game. I think they're a much better team. I think Jackson Dart's a better quarterback than Nussmeier. I think it is a good chance for Ole Miss to kind of get one on the road. Let's see Lane Kiffin get back to what works. But we'll see. I mean, the SEC, I know they like to vault it up no matter what, but LSU lost to a USC team opening on a neutral site. They barely escaped South Carolina on the road. This is going to
Yeah.
be a different task for them. And we'll see if Brian Kelly, who usually can't win these games, let's see if he can win one for once.
Yeah, I think there's going to be some crazy takes coming out of LSU if they do lose this game. I also think Ole Miss wins this game. And like you said, they prop up the SEC in every poll. Ole Miss still at 9 after losing to Kentucky is kind of brutal. I know
Yeah.
there's a lot of losses, but they're in a fortunate position. So getting a ranked win at LSU, which is, I believe, still one of the hardest places to play in the country, could be huge for them. I liked Ole Miss as kind of like a dark horse coming out of the SEC coming into the year, not expecting that loss in Kentucky,
Right.
but a get right game for them could be huge. I think they're very talented, but they've shown they can falter like in the biggest moment. So this game could really go either way, in my opinion. I think the line is a little weird. I think it could be a blowout each way, or it could be a
Right.
dogfight. So we shall see.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one. Last game before Ohio State, Oregon. Not a double rank game like the ones we've been talking about, but number 18 Kansas State heads to Boulder to play CU. This is a must-win game for Colorado. Colorado needs to get back into the Big 12 race, needs to get back into the playoff race. They're still unranked. They win this game, they're going to make a statement for themselves. Kansas State's a good ball club. I looked at Colorado's schedule today. This is a hard game. They have Utah at kind of
Yeah.
like near the end of the season, but their schedule is very winnable. They have a couple of mid games like Arizona next week, and I think they play Texas Tech in a few weeks. So tough games, but like CU has a chance to CU is still very much in the fight for the Big 12. And this is a game they have to win to get their name back on. If they lose this game, that's a Big 12 loss. They've only lost to Nebraska this year, but they need to win this game, and it's a must win for Colorado. But Kansas State, good team. They consistently put out a good product. They always battle in the Big 12. They used to battle Texas. They used to battle TCU when TCU was good. But it's a must win game for Colorado. We need Shedeur to step up in this game.
Yeah, I am not very confident in that, sadly. Looking 4-1 right now, so already Colorado looking better on the stat sheet, but maybe hasn't played the caliber of opponents that they did last year. Must win. I agree with you to stay in the Big 12 race, but I don't know if Colorado has the guys to do it. Kansas State, except for that one crazy falter with BYU, is really tough top to bottom. Their quarterback is a dog. They control the trenches, which is something Colorado lacks in. And I think Kansas State has some pretty darn good coaching. They got boat raced against BYU, so there's really no specific area you can put the fault on for that game. But
BYU, the quarterback.
yeah, oh yeah, dude's a dog. I don't know what we're going to see against Colorado. We'll see if it's a night game and they can get that crowd rolling.
I think it
Maybe.
is. I think it is.
Hopefully the crowd is bumping. Dion will get the place bumping with Shadur's music when he scores touchdowns into the end zone. But I don't know. I like Kansas State a lot. I can't trust Colorado in this position. The media has been quiet about them since they started stacking some wins already. I think either tied or one more than last year. So
yeah,
maybe,
tied last year's, I think.
Maybe the quiet will be good for Colorado. They'll be able to focus and get something done, but I would not be shocked if Kansas State ran away with that one.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I agree, but it's must win for Colorado. Must win.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
You want to wrap us up with last game of the weekend?
Yeah, man, let's do it. Ohio State heads to Oregon for a 6:30 Eastern start in Eugene. We did look at tickets some months ago, and flights were about $800 or $900 from O'Hare, so we will not be in attendance. I'm confident. I was about to say nervous. When I opened my mouth that first time, I was going to say I'm nervous, but then I became confident. So Dylan Gabriel, I haven't checked on him in a couple weeks, but had about an 85% completion percentage through 3 weeks of the game.
He looked bad. He's looked bad the last 2 weeks. He had 2 bad picks against Michigan State this week. Really struggled in the first half, but a very similar game to how we played Michigan State, I would say, but a very different statistical game for him.
Interesting. So we've shown that he has the capability to have those 85% completion percentage games, as well as some of those not so great games like you just talked about against Michigan State. He is fantastic, but I think he is headed right into the toughest DB room in the country. I think our DBs should eat him alive. Hopefully the pass rushers can get after it, but we've been saying all year it's the interior 7 of our defense that I would have more questions about than anything. Our DBs should be solid. Let's force some turnovers. I know I said they don't matter, but this is when you really want to have one. I'm not relying on a turnover or two. I'm not relying on a pick 6 to win us this game. I think on the other side of the ball, we'll control the offensive line. We had some crazy rushing numbers against Iowa, which is something that not a lot of teams have done over the past multiple years. They're a tough defensive front. I know they don't always end up in the top 10 or they're not a sexy team to play, but Iowa is a damn good defense with a damn good defensive and offensive line. We were able to control that against Iowa also currently has the second leading rusher in the country entering last week, and we were able to bottle him up as well. So I think in the trenches is where we're going to shine. We're going to rely on that run game that Chip Kelly has been building, the running backs that we have been keeping healthy for moments like this. We have a tough schedule the rest of the way. Let's pull out all the stops. Playoffs start now. We talk about how every season is preseason leading up to Michigan, and now we have potentially 4 top 10 games before we even get to Michigan. It's time to roll. This is why we have this roster. This is why people come back. It's to start now. I don't want to hear about that team out west. Let's kill them.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I've been pretty confident, like really excited for this Saturday's game. Can't wait for the game. When you started talking, for some reason I got chills and started getting nervous all of a sudden. Maybe, but my takeaway for this game is this is a top 3 game of the year. We had Bama, Georgia last week. We have this game this week, and we have Georgia versus Texas next week or in 2 weeks or so. So this is a top 3 game. It's number 2 versus number 3. It's Ohio State. It's Oregon. A lot of storylines. Quarterbacks who have transferred to a new school that are a 4th or 5th year player. Great weapons all the way around. Great defensive tackles, great running backs. I mean, how about an even smaller storyline? We got Chip Kelly returns home to Oregon. How does he handle that? I think we're going to see – I still don't believe we've seen much of the Chip Kelly bag. He started showing it a little, I think, after the first half of Iowa. It was 7-0. He showed it a couple times. He had some cool plays, cool design plays that we saw him like, oh, that's a Chip Kelly play. That's a Chip Kelly play, stuff like that. I think we're going to start seeing 2 back sets. I think we're going to start seeing 3 tight ends on the field. I think we're going to start seeing crossing routes. I think we're going to be seeing designed runs. We're going to see a Chip Kelly special, and I think this week, I said it last week. I joked. I think our D line, I think our running defense is better than our passing defense for some reason. But it just felt like we were kind of committing to the run the last couple weeks because teams knew they weren't going to throw. So they would get 20
Yeah.
yards here and there. But 7 points against Iowa, incredible game. We destroyed their defense. We scored on the opening drive. I think that was the first time they've given up a touchdown in like 2 years or so
Two
on the opening
years.
drive. So
Mm-hmm.
incredible stat for that. But Ohio State has to come and play. This was my senior year, I think. Yeah, my senior
Yep.
year was CJ Stroud's first year at quarterback. It was game 1 or 2. We lost at home to Oregon in the shoe. A big loss. I remember a lot of us being out on CJ Stroud after that game. We were definitely proven wrong after his time. But at that point in time, let's get it back. Let's get that one back. They've chirped and chirped and chirped all offseason. They believe they're better than us. They had people saying, you mentioned it in your part, they had people saying we want to be that team out west, how we call it Michigan, the team up north. I want to beat them to the ground. I want their Nike money and their Phil Knight money to go shove it. Let's keep showing why they don't belong in the Big Ten. I want to see USC struggle. I want to see UCLA struggle. I want to see Washington struggle, except for this week. Thank you, Washington.
Yes.
I want to see I want to see Oregon struggle. Those teams don't belong with us. They don't belong with the Penn States. They don't belong with the Michigans. They don't belong with the Ohio States. Let's show them. Like you said, let's show them why you come back. You come back for games like this. The season starts Saturday. I think the spread is 4.5 Buckeyes last time I checked. I don't know what it's at
Yes.
now.
Yes.
So 4.5 Buckeyes. I think we see it. I think we have this is going to be a game though, where we do see our O-line get tested. I think this is a game where we keep saying it. Oh, the run game looks great. And it does. Let's not say it doesn't, but this is where the O-line shows up. Seth McLaughlin, take that
100%.
thing, anchor it up the middle. Fryer, anchor on the right. Donovan, Frank, anchor it on the left. Let's see this team get ready to roll. I can't wait. Kind of sucks we're the last game of this slate, like of the main games. Like a lot of
It's going to be
games.
so nerve-wracking.
So we have to get through a lot of good games to get to us, but I can't wait. Night game. From a little birdie I have, I'm not going to out my source, but Oregon's wearing black on Saturday. From what I've been hearing from Buckeye insiders, we're wearing all whites on Saturday.
Let's go. That'll be sick.
So that's what I'm hearing from my little source. So there's that. But it's gonna be great. I can't wait. Week 7, October 12th is here. We've made it to this weekend, the weekend of the year. People have been calling it, and I can't wait. It's gonna be a lot of great football.
Let's do it. Let's finish it up with MLB playoffs before we kick it to clutch moment of the week. This is your wheelhouse. I'll ask some dumb questions as we move through here, but all series tied 1-1. Yankees were tied 1-1 last time before we press start on recording at least. But Shohei, Yankees, that's all I got. Take it away.
Yeah, incredible playoffs so far. 4 series at 1-1. You can't ask for anything better than that. New York won game 1. Kansas City won game 2 behind Reagan's and the Bats. Rodon looks rough. Mets, Phillies. Mets, the team of destiny currently right now, I believe. They have a crazy game 1. They stayed hot, and Philly comes back with another. They come back with their right hook in game 2, and they walk off with Casty 1-1 in that series. Cleveland, Detroit, what a series we might have between two gritty teams. Cleveland comes out, plays their brand of ball, get to the bullpen, beat you in 6 innings. They do it. They win. They crush Detroit. Today, shut out through 8 innings, 0-0. Clase, the best reliever in baseball, who's going to be, I think, the runner-up Cy Young. I saw today he gives up a home run, 3-run home run in the 9th. Cleveland loses 3-0. The first 3-run home run of Emmanuel Clase's career given up.
Wow.
And then
what a time to do it.
Headed down the freeway here on both sides of the freeway while the Angels stick outside looking like Squidward looking at the window watching SpongeBob and Patrick play. Dodgers, Padres, what a series there. Dodgers take game 1. Shohei obviously homered in game 1. Padres came back with their own right hook, game 2, 1-1. These playoffs are great. Playoff baseball, there's nothing better than it. I know you wanted to ask some questions about it, what I think of certain series, but 1-1 through 2 games of every series, you can't really ask for much better than that.
Yeah, I am trying to get into it at the very least. My problem with baseball overall is not enough matters for 162 games out of a year.
Fair.
I just can't get up to care. Now, every pitch, every swing, I'm pretty sure I said this exact same speech last week. Every at-bat, every pitch is important. So it's great to see. We have a lot of our friends involved in the playoffs, which is fun to see. One thing I will say, I'm a football guy first. I'll watch basketball, I'll watch baseball if we're good, but football is a one and done playoff. It's funny and fun to see people and teams sweat out over an entire series. And I don't think there's a more anxiety inducing sport than baseball. So Phillies look great. Yankees, I can't put a finger on the Yankees. I know we are friends with the most dramatic sports fans on the planet, but for the last 2 months of the year, Derek, Sam Stein, a lot of other people are saying the Yankees are dead. They're not going to do it. They stink. Judge has another prolific offensive season, and maybe they're just winning games behind that, but I can't get how they have such a good record and are still their own fans are calling it season.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'll tell you the answer right here. I think they have no pitching outside of Garrett Cole. I think Garrett Cole pitched game one. He pitched well. Rodon pitched game two. He looked horrible after the first inning. He got banged up a little. And then game three, I don't even know. I think it's Clark Schmidt, who was up and down this season throughout the year. Young kid. He had a good first half, maybe three-quarters season. Kind of struggled here and there. But they have no pitching. And when it comes to the playoffs, Aaron Prescott comes in. Judge is miserable in the playoffs. He is one of the worst hitters. I think I read today that he has a 40% strikeout rate in the playoffs, which
Wow.
is so prolifically high. Incredibly problem. He needs to wake up. 4-2 today, they lost. They need to wake it up. Versus, I think you look at all these other teams. I think there's different parts where different teams succeed. But to be honest with you, after watching 8 games of baseball now through the playoffs of the AL and NLDS, I don't think one team's that complete. To be honest with you, I think the Padres might have the most complete team in a sense, but I think it's still the Phillies. I think the Phillies are still the team to beat. Yeah, they had a great come from behind win twice in that game too, but they have
Yeah.
the pitching. They have the team. I know Bino uh, is tough on their bullpen. It's the playoffs. The bullpen's so tough because every series I heard Jeter and Arod talking about it on FS1 last night. That every week, every series in the playoffs, the pitching goes down. The relievers are used heavy in the first round, and they're
Yeah.
okay in the second round. But the World Series, it's just survival of the fittest. And the thing with the Phillies though is they have the great starting pitchers. They have 3 good starting pitchers. That's important. They have 4 guys. Like they're gonna go Wheeler game 1, they lost, and he pitched great, 7 inning shutout
Yep.
ball. Then they win game 2 with Christopher Sanchez. Now they're going to New York. They get Nola. They get Ranger Suarez for game 5. And if they make it to game 5 or game 4, if they have to force a game 5, then you get Wheeler again. I mean, that's important. Just like Detroit versus Cleveland, similar situation. Cleveland's got Bybee. Their starters are not great after Bybee. Same with
Yeah.
Detroit. They have Skubal. Nobody really after Skubal. They're both teams dependent on their bullpen, and their offense is getting hot. When you look at San Diego versus LA, incredible bats. The offense is fantastic. But
Hmm.
all season, no pitching. Yamamoto stinks. Flaherty stunk. They got nobody after that. Walker Buehler's pitching game 3. He had almost a 6 ERA this year. San Diego, they were so close to being perfect. I think San Diego was going to rival Philly, but Musgrove gets Tommy John, gets hurt, but San
Yeah.
Diego's bats are on fire. The baseball is incredible right now. I think I know Manfred wants Yankees, Mets, or Yankees, Dodgers, or Phillies, Yankees. I don't think it matters. Great baseball is determined with great teams. Last year was Rangers, Diamondbacks. Baseball was great. I mean, these series are awesome. I think we got a lot of baseball to go. I'm very happy Bino didn't sell his ticket for game 2, so thank God he
Yeah.
didn't do that. So it's going to be a great finish to these series. I really don't know who's going to win. A lot of toss-ups, so very excited for it.
Very interesting to see. I know you're rooting against the Dodgers with all your heart. Gambino will be in
Absolutely.
attendance at many more playoff games for the Phillies, so keep an eye out on the Instagram stories. Sam Stein may be making it to some Phillies games as well, and wouldn't be shocked if Matt Cooper goes halfway across the country to go see the Guard. So a lot of good baseball. We're going to get into it more in the future weeks, but football's coming up. We are a 3-2 podcast. We'll now kick it to our ad read and our clutch moment of the week. Our clutch moment of the week is brought to you by Shore Metals, serving Southern California since 1970. Big enough to serve you and small enough to know you. See Stan, he'll help you out. Clutch moment of the week. Michael, who do you got?
Big clutch moment of the week for me. We were blessed with College Football 25 coming back this summer. Great game. This week on Thursday, Steam, a PC platform, Backyard Baseball is coming back to platform. What a game that was. Pablo Sanchez. You had MLB stars in it once. I don't know if they're going to be in this version, but pretty cool to see old games coming back. I know the Kelsey brothers were kind of involved with the motion of bringing it back, so appreciate
Okay.
them. And very cool. So another old game coming back, super clutch, super fun. I don't know how to play on Steam. I don't know what this PC platform is, but I'll have to check it out and get a chance to play it. So Backyard Baseball, clutch moment of the week for me.
I'm not a big PC gamer, but a couple of my friends are. And for your
Neither
information,
am I.
Steam is the app store of computers. So it's very accessible. It's very easy. It's very
Okay.
some platforms, but yeah.
Can you play it on Mac or you have to have like a PC?
I think you should be able to play it. It may not run well, but like that's as far as I know is
Okay.
like Steam's the app store.
Okay.
Great seeing games like that come back, preying on our nostalgia. New stuff is bad,
Yes.
like the
Yeah.
Joker 2, which I'm not really going to dive into,
Haven't
but
seen it yet, but I
nostalgia
heard
is good.
awful.
Oh, disgusting.
How
Clutch
about
moment
you?
of the week. Sorry to rain on your parade, but Darvin Ham. Darvin Ham, 2 seasons coach as the Lakers, Western Conference Final in his first year, playoff. Did they make the playoffs or was it a play-in loss?
They lost in the first round to
Lost it. So, Western
Nuggets.
Conference Final appearance and another playoff appearance. Fired after 2 seasons with the Lakers. Pat Bev brought him up on his pod. Subscribe to the motherfucking pod. Belt to ass. Pat
Also,
Bev,
I
Chicago boy.
saw this. I pressed it. This video is from like July. Just to let you know.
Don't care. Darvin Ham ran into Pat Bev in July, I guess, wherever they were, and pulled him aside and was like, "Hey, Pat Bev, like, I really just want to like apologize. Like, we kind of got done dirty on the Lakers. Like, I didn't handle it the right way. Like, obviously, there's a lot going on.
Crazy that coaches say that. Like, because usually they never apologize.
Usually, they never apologize. Like, I could never picture like a Bill Belichick apologizing. Obviously, he had a little
No
more winning
way.
winning to
No
back it
way.
up, but
Don't put
still, I
those
think
two in the same sentence.
I still think a big clutch moment by Darvin Ham. I don't know if he's on a staff right now. I know he's not a head coach at the moment,
Milwaukee.
but
He's on Milwaukee staff, and
oh
he brought
fuck
Taurean
yeah.
Prince with him.
Oh man. Torian Princess, dear God. This is getting hard to do. But clutch moment, Darvin Ham, like being the bigger man and reaching out and saying, like, hey, I messed up. There's a lot going on being in LA under the bright lights. LeBron, AD. He also did
Russ.
say to Pat Bev, do you have Russ's number? I want to reach out to him as well. They did Russ dirty. Russ is going to win another ring in Denver. They didn't let Russ be Russ. He is a Hall of Famer. He is a Hall of Famer. Darvin Ham, being a good man, being a good man. It's bigger than the game. Taking care of business. Clutch moment. Darvin Ham.
Wrapping it up now with Outside the Line, starting it off with our favorite segment, Tone Deaf Person of the Week. What do you got?
So, for those of you who haven't been keeping up with me, I'm a regular at Soldier Field now. So I've been there the last
Yeah,
two
you
weeks.
are.
We're 2-0 in attendance, and I'm a real one. The tailgate, the grittiness, just the ball knowledge is off the charts. What I can't get over is people. First of all, I'm joking. I'm not the smartest guy in the world, even though I like to be most of the time. But the Bears crowd was a little tough. Was a little tough in the south end zone on Sunday. Last
Okay.
week against the Rams, I was in the north end zone. This week I was in the south end zone, using my neighbor's season tickets. So hopefully they don't regularly sit next to her. But first, I'll go to the 60 to 65-year-old man sitting to my right, full Ditka attire. I don't think I mentioned that. He was
Oh
in,
my God, that's awesome.
unfortunately, dark khakis, the dress shirt, the sweater over the top, sunglasses, had a mustache. Don't think he had a cigar in hand, um, but he was like Wisconsin Ditka, if that makes sense. Like not in like a Packers way, in like he's
Okay.
just like a fat guy who's really nice, like kind of awkward
Okay.
and jolly guy way. So dressed up, looking good, but he was a weird guy. He was a weird guy. Made a lot of really vulgar jokes for no reason. Like seemed like he was really excited to be at the ball game with the boys. The first one he says to me practically unprompted. It's me and my friend Kyle. We're both kind of hungover on a Sunday morning, being pretty quiet about the game, just like chilling, doing our thing. And they're doing the messages on the video board, and it says, happy bachelor party weekend, baby. Can't wait to marry you. Love, whatever her name was. And he looks over to me and says something along the lines of, oh yeah, happy bachelor weekend. Hope you had fun last night banging that whore. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, ha ha ha,
Ditka.
like
Coach Ditka.
Ditka, please. Like feeling very awkward. He was a weird guy, making a couple jokes like that the entire game, but that wasn't as bad as the guys behind me. So
Okay.
there was 4 or 5 guys, late 20s, early 30s, from the suburbs, talking about their young kids and everything. So definitely a different phase of life. Not as much time as I maybe have to lock in,
They're
break
not
down film.
wasting 30 hours of their Friday to Sunday watching football.
Unfortunately, no. But they acted like they did, and that was the worst part. They just
Mm.
did not know any sort of ball, were being very loud and obnoxious about the whole thing. They walk in, and there's like 2 girls sitting in their seats, and they were like kind of assholes about asking them to leave originally. Like the game hadn't started yet. Like nobody really knows where they're going. Just like be normal. They were assholes then. There was like one play that like went on and like Caleb Williams maybe threw the ball like a little bit behind DJ Moore or something. Not the slant that you may be thinking of, but a different throw earlier in the game.
It
And the
was
guy's just
completed
like
or incomplete?
incomplete. But the guy's
Okay.
like, 18 at a bad ball there. Nah, 18 at a bad ball there. And was just like talking like really annoying. The worst one was our backup, I think tackle had a false start. He was like number 79 or like clearly a lineman, clearly not usually there. Like, oh, is that Mercedes Lewis again? Mercedes Lewis is like number 84. He's a captain. Like he's a tight end. And this was like a guy on like, he was a tackler like on the interior line. He was like, Mercedes is good for one of those every single game, as the loudspeaker is saying that it's not even close to the correct person. And they just didn't know anything and would not shut up. And it was super annoying. So tone deaf, bad sports fans. If you don't know ball, that's fine, but don't pretend you know ball because it's so easy to tell when you're wrong. So
Yeah.
they just had me shaking my head the whole game.
We're smart enough and honest enough to tell you guys that we are sports addicted fans. We know a lot. We talk about. We're not the smartest people, but we watch a lot of football. We watch a lot of baseball. We watch a lot of sports in general. So we know a lot about the different sports. It's okay if you aren't perfect at the sport or knowing it. Like
Yeah.
that's okay. Like guys who watch a lot of sports, girls who watch a lot of sports, like they know who watches sports and who doesn't. Like they can pick it up
So
quickly.
easy.
And if you can figure out that they aren't the biggest fans, you can kind of scale back your talk, figure out what you're gonna say. Baseline stuff. Oh, Dak did this. CD did this. You're not going to go in and be like, did you see that block CD set in the second quarter for like, you're not going to dive into full film. It's okay to like not be the biggest fan, but like, yeah, it's not even sports, like movies, TV shows. It doesn't matter. Like you
Anything.
don't have to pretend to be something. Like no one's going to be more impressed. No one's more impressed with us than like anybody. Like no one's more impressed with
Yeah.
us because we watch more sports. We just waste more of our time watching sports. That's what people say. Like that's what they say. Also, I think you can group the people in there that like pretend they like hate sports. Like, oh, sports are like football is on. Like, I don't even.
Oh,
Those people are the worst too. Like, you're not better than anybody. Those people are worse than the fans that pretend to know ball for sure.
it's
Um,
close, but I think that's fair.
yeah. So I don't know, but for me, tone deaf. Quick one. I saw an interview last week. Playoffs were about to start for the MLB. Mookie Betts was on Jimmy Kimmel. Jimmy Kimmel known fucking. I hate Jimmy Kimmel. He's such a loser. Like just so tone deaf. Like thinks he's talk about a guy who thinks he's so much better than you. Like guy who got caught doing blackface, like objectifying women. Like he likes to cancel everybody but doesn't want to look in the mirror. Like shit like that. Like awful. Anyways, he interviews Mookie Betts, and the first question he asks Mookie Betts is, "What is it like to play with Shohei Ohtani?" Mookie Betts said in an interview 3 days before he doesn't like getting that question anymore because it's been 162 games, like you've mentioned, and he gets it. He knows he plays with Shohei Ohtani. He knows how good he is. He sees it every day. Talk about something different. Mookie's a 2-time World Series winner. He has an own MVP of his own. He's had playoff success. He's been in the league longer. Like, talk about other things. Like Jimmy Kimmel, nobody watches these late night shows. Make your interviews interesting at least. Give people
Yeah.
something they can watch. So tone deaf, Jimmy Kimmel just not knowing how to handle an interview. Like Mookie Betts, star player for the Dodgers, like disgusting, awful. Those late night TV shows suck. Maybe that's tone deaf late night TV shows. Stephen Colbert,
Maybe.
him, Fallon, all those shows suck. Nobody watches them anymore. They were big in like the 60s when TV had like 3 channels. That's what people watched. So that's tone deaf. So stupid. Wrapping it up now, wrong side, right side before we head on out of here.
Yeah, right side. I know we were going to do a little combined one, but yeah, football is on a lot. But unfortunately, there are a couple days out of the week that football isn't on at night, so you have to fill your time doing something else. The Penguin is out. I know you had another show on Netflix that you had wanted to talk about, but TV is good at the moment, which is important. I am a big rewatch every single sitcom. Community, Rick and Morty,
Sure.
Brooklyn Nine-Nine for like 15 times before I go to bed, just as a comfort show. It's good to have something else to scratch the brain a little bit, a little different form of content to consume. So Penguin. What was your show again?
Yeah, combined right side for us. I had Nobody Wants This on Netflix. Pretty funny, good show. And I'll say it, I'm also watching The Agatha Show on Disney Plus on Wednesday night.
Oh,
So I'm
you
watching
disgust
that.
me.
The last episode wasn't bad. The first 2 were like, eh. The last one wasn't bad. I know. I wasn't excited for it. I was out after 2 episodes, but I'm glad I stuck with it. It's not bad. So that's on Wednesday nights. Agatha Show on Disney Plus. Great. Nobody Wants This. Great little rom-com Jewish person show, really funny. I liked it. Some good jokes, and the Penguin's phenomenal. It's
Yeah,
I call it Gotham Sopranos, like awesome, like gangster, awesome vibes. It's awesome. So that's combined right side, great TV. But what's
yeah.
your wrong side?
Wrong side. I have a couple personal ones, and then I'll talk about a little wider one in the world. One,
Okay.
spine pain. Talk about work from home
Okay.
struggles. My
Yeah.
spine hurts. My right shoulder blade is not in the right spot. I'm making my neck crack constantly, which I hate doing. I feel not good a lot, which stinks. So I'm trying to get better at that, get a little more movement in during the week, stuff like that. Also, my vision is going bad. I'm an old man. It's really sad to say,
Oh
so
my
that
God.
sucks a lot. I'm
Breaking
bad at my
down.
contacts. I'm bad at putting my contacts in, so I don't wear them a lot, but I need to be better. So like full of wrong side there. Um, the real one, the one that really matters, though my pain is very, very important. Hurricane Milton, it has been named. It's
Yeah. This
heading
is bad.
to South Florida near the Tampa Bay area, right where the hurricane a couple weeks ago struck. And this one looks to be about double the size in terms of storm surge, wind speed, stuff like that is already up to a category 5.
180.
Yeah. Fucking crazy to an area that just got impacted by a pretty brutal record setting one in and of itself a couple weeks ago. So thinking about the people down in Florida, I've already had like some work affected with like people down there and stuff like that. So I know it's no joke. My aunt's down there too, but she's on the other side of the state. So, hoping that they can batten down the hatches and wishing well to everyone down there over the next week or so.
Yeah, 1000%. Like you said, yeah, the hurricane season's really picked up lately. Obviously, it made its way further up, the like south. I think it
Yeah.
got all the way up there. I think this one, I don't know how far this one's supposed to get, but yeah, awful wrong side. I think it just sucks. Like these people are getting decimated once and like can't even have time to recover. Like
Yeah.
so awful wrong side there. Really gonna make my wrong side look like a dick then after that one.
Sorry.
Uh, my wrong side. We talked about it earlier in the episode how great the slate is for football on Saturday. Good TV is on. There's backyard baseball. Everything is going well. But Saturday, it maybe ties into my right side. Nobody wants this. Ties into this. But Saturday, with all these great games, time to hang out with friends and family, drink some beer, have some great food. Unfortunately enough, though, this Saturday is actually Yom Kippur, the Jewish holiday, and you have to fast from sundown Friday night to sundown of Saturday night. And so it's going to be tough. That's not a day I was kind of envisioning. I kind of started thinking more about it. Like, so I think the sun was going to set officially at like 6:47 or so on Saturday. I was kind of like, or I was looking this Saturday. Like I was kind of like trying to like pace it out. So it looks like it's going to be 6:47. So can't eat till then. But Ohio State kicks off at 4:30 my time. If Ohio State's winning at the 6:47 mark, I might not eat till the game is over to stay the same. Don't want to change anything up. But I wasn't gonna. Everyone's like, "Oh, you don't have to do it. Just eat. Like you're not. You're not that important." But Ryan Day needs us to do our part. Ryan Day needs
That's
everybody
fair.
to do his part, and I don't want any bad juju. I don't want any bad karma. So I'm gonna be fasting all day Saturday. No beer, no seltzers, no food all day Saturday. Water only. I know water is kind of like on the line of like, could you do it? Could you not? I drink water because I have to stay alive. But yeah, my wrong side is fasting on Yom Kippur. Great Entourage episode. Everybody seen it, the Yom Kippur one as well. I have
Uh-huh.
my
Uh-huh.
All-Star Game jersey for Derek Jeter that Turtle wears in that Entourage episode. I also got one for myself. So pretty good outfit I'll probably wear during the morning slate of that game. But yeah, bad wrong side for me. Other than that, wrapping up, great show. Thank you guys again for listening. Wanted to shout out, Jake wanted me to say wrong side for him as well. The Giants beating the Seahawks. He said he was wrong side member of the week because that one was bad. But other than that, another great show. Thank you guys for listening. Like, subscribe, follow. We really appreciate it. The Wrong Side brand is growing. You're seeing us now in playoff games. Somehow we're getting some right sides. So hopefully that continues. And it continues into this week. And we see another Ohio State victory. So really appreciate you guys listening.
Stay blessed.